Good morning. My name is Abigail, and this is Tea with Abbie. Cheers to our sponsor, Capital Factory, for the tea and coffee. This is the show where we are discussing the tea, the truth of what it's like to be a first-time founder, a female in a male-dominated space, and all of the things that come with pursuing your passion. And this morning on today's show, I'm so excited to have Jill Klinvex.
You got it.
Jill
Nailed
is Jill is a venture associate here at Capital Factory, and you're kind of the reason why we're here. Blended sentence.
Oh, you guys got here on your own. It wasn't me.
Well, welcome. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you for inviting me.
I guess let's start for the people out there who are like, huh? They barely understand what VC is, assuming that a lot of people initially going to be listening are our friends and family. So can you tell me what a VC associate is, what you do?
Yeah.
And all of that.
No, absolutely. So a venture associate here, we really work from start to finish on sourcing the deals until pretty much, pitching them to the partners and making sure that, the deals are signed, it all works out legally with the terms. So really from end to end, we do everything with the deals. My favorite part is probably the sourcing, where I get to talk to a ton of entrepreneurs and CEOs just working on incredible products and companies, working to change the world. So that's definitely my favorite part.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what was Jill like pre being in this role? Was there anything in your adolescence growing up that sort of was like, oh, we can tell where she's going?
I think my parents would be way better at answering this question, but happy to share a few stories as well. I got into a lot of trouble as a kid for starting too many businesses and actually making them a little bit more real than they should have been.
No way.
So my dad used to work out of our home, and my mom would often leave me with him to watch me, but he was pretty bad at the watching part, so I was kind of had free reign of the house. And one time I actually I used to have a little cash register machine, and I took my parents' checkbook and went up to the end of the driveway and just started selling. I dug up all the flowers from the flower bed and planted them, and I was selling them to all these truck drivers that were coming by. And I was also offering them money as well, so not really good bit for business, but so my dad, I see him like looking out the window, and I was like, oh no, I know I'm in trouble. And he came down, and instead of being mad with me, he actually offered to buy all my flowers if I would come home. So he was one of my best customers that day. I had a few other things. I used to always convert our treadmill into like a little grocery line, so people could come and buy groceries from me. There is a series of things that happened.
Wow.
My parents always knew I was a little bit bossier as a child, so my mom was always like, oh, you're a pain in our butt now, but we know it'll be good for you later.
Wow.
So never discourage bossiness. It's a good quality.
Yeah, exactly, right? Now you're here. Well, I mean, that's so typical, too, though, to always call the little girl bossy, right?
Yeah, right? I know. I was like, my brothers are definitely bossy.
Of
no one was calling them
bossy.
bossy.
So being here in this office, and traditionally what's been a male-dominated space for a long time, and women are really starting to be championed. I could definitely feel that in our pitching process to get into the program here, and pretty much my entire journey as an entrepreneur so far, I have yet to experience anyone discouraging me. In fact, probably some of the biggest advocates in this right now have been some of the men on our advisory team and things like that. And
that's so good to hear.
Yeah, which is
the tables are turning.
The tables are turning, and
I love it.
While it's important for women to be championing women, we need the men on that side to be seeing what we're seeing as well.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on just kind of that whole space in general?
No, for sure. And I think it's one thing I've seen in Austin in particular. I used to be in venture in New York, and it's I would say a lot more male dominated there, although since there is more firms, you do see a lot more women as well. But particularly in Austin, it was actually ranked as the number 2 city for female entrepreneurs to start companies here.
No way.
Yeah, so it's a pretty exciting stat. So that's one of the reasons I actually came to Austin, because from everyone I spoke to, it just seems like a really welcoming environment for female founders and making sure that they have champions and sponsors here. And I've particularly noticed it. My 2 colleagues that I work with, Nick and Jamie, are like two of the most incredible allies I have ever met.
Yeah.
And they are very vocal about it, which I love, because I think it's one thing to support women, but also one to like let them know that you support them. And I think they're so good about, giving credit where it's due and making sure that they're sourcing, female and diverse founders, which, I haven't seen in previous roles that I've held at other firms. So that's one really positive aspect that I love about this job. But I think, just in Austin in general, there's so many resources that are being open to female entrepreneurs. So that's a good part of it. I know there's like the Riveter, which is a female co-working space, Women at Austin. Then you have some awesome VCs like Jan Ryan who are really, pushing forward. You have True Wealth Ventures. So all good stuff.
Yeah, we got a chance to speak with Carrie from True Wealth.
Oh, she's a badass.
A week and a half ago.
Her.
She offered us just some pretty interesting insight and
pretty blunt advice.
That
That's
was
the best way to serve
really
it.
nice to hear.
Yeah.
And she also offered just some sort of like, don't forget, because you have you have a female mind, so you're pragmatic. You understand how to see the big picture and put things together.
Yeah.
And she said, but one of the things that's important to remember and why a lot of men do receive funding for their companies is because when they are speaking in the room with investors, that men don't shy away from having bravado and speaking about the vision and painting this big picture, where as a female, our tendency is more to like show the practical things, like the present day, what's happening. And she was like, don't be afraid.
I feel like you can always spice it up with a little bit of bravado.
Yeah, that's what she said. Like, don't be afraid to like pull that from what the men are doing, and be big vision, paint the picture, show how exciting like this roadmap is going to be.
Well, I think in particular for you, you have such a unique background that allows you to kind of, take on that persona when you go into pitch meetings.
Yeah.
It's so funny because at the last firm I was at, when CEOs were looking to raise money or, just go through the funding process in general, or even looking at being acquired, we'd always send them to improv classes.
No way.
Yeah. And it's such a different take on it, but a lot of people get imposter syndrome when they go up to do fundraising. They don't feel like they're qualified, even though, if you're starting this business, you're probably the best person to be running it. Yeah. Let's hope, or else we probably shouldn't be funding you. But so we'd send them to improv classes and make them take on different roles, feel really powerful. And the results were incredible. So I think, you've had years and years of training and acting and be able to, add a little spice to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally how I have been approaching this, because like this is all new for me as well.
Yeah.
And I have been treating it just as much as like, okay, yep, you're putting on your blazer and you're going to be
you're a boss lady
this version
today.
of yourself. Like, and I have all these different parts of me. They're there, so it's fun to be utilizing them.
Yeah.
However, I've been 10,000 times more nervous pitching than I've ever been performing or stepping on stage or anything like that.
I feel like you don't come off as nervous though. It's probably on the inside. I know when you pitched at Capital Factory, I was like, she rocked it. That was incredible.
Sweating.
I know you're like, I'm gonna wear black today.
Yeah, specifically layers.
Yes. No, for sure. But you guys did an awesome job.
Thank you.
I've seen people that are nervous pitching that, talk 1,000 miles a minute. That was definitely not you.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you.
You guys did awesome.
We're
here now.
We're getting better. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I'm enjoying so much about the program so far is all the pitching opportunities we have. Obviously, every moment you get to pitch is like, stakes are high, but there's obviously been some that are more for practice, it feels like, and some that are definitely more for, okay, this is close to the real thing.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to really be able to get a lot of
it's always nice to have those like low
and
risk versus high risk opportunities. Some investors that are never going to invest in your company, like maybe not the right sector. I feel like it's always good to experiment, try some new things out with them.
Yeah.
And then when you're going for the investors you really want, it just makes it so much easier.
So speaking of pitching,
yes,
you're fresh from a pitch event last night.
Correct.
What excites you most, like when you're listening to a pitch, when you're hearing founders? What is there anything particular that okay, that is a successful business, or that's going to be a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, I guess 9 out of 10 startups fail, so it's always hard to be exact. But I think the two things that I really love to see are the team and then the opportunity. So with the team, making sure that these are the right people to be leading this company, if they have background in the industry that they're going after, and make sure that they're industry experts. I always like to see a team that's very coachable as well, that, when they're given feedback, they don't take it offensively, but are actually able to, incorporate it into their business, or, just be open to feedback in general. And then with market opportunity, I think just generally as a VC, you like to see a really big opportunity. So, at least $1 billion+ market, so that you have some chance of getting a little piece of that. But yeah, I guess team market opportunity are things that I love to see in a pitch when people highlight it really well.
Is it pretty obvious when you can tell the founder should probably put the idea to bed?
I've seen a few of those.
And they don't even know it themselves, but you guys can see that.
I even had one, I guess it was 2 days ago, where the founder, I think the first thing that you can tell is that they're just extremely arrogant and confident. And there's, a difference between being confident and cocky, but where they haven't talked to anybody else about their idea, that they've literally sat in a room and been like, I need this, so therefore the world needs it. And I think a really easy way to, not discourage them or put them down, but just be like, hey, I think you should go talk to at least 50 customers and just get some general feedback and, hopefully iterate and, see where your idea can go.
Right.
So I'll never put anyone down and be like, this is the worst idea ever. But just let them figure it out for themselves and do a little bit more exploring, since, some people think if they need it, then the world needs it. But generally it's probably just their problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of like all the specific questions I had.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you a few?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Answer.
You got to turn the tables.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go.
So a few that I was curious to ask you. First of all, how did you come up with the idea for blended scents? Like, how did you guys get started?
There are several experience that kind of all jumbled into one. So I'm working on productions, and they're huge budgets for single pieces of content with a bunch of talented people. And all of us are so excited to get to work for XYZ that day.
Yeah,
but
we're those big names out there.
These big names, like there are some really big productions that do shoot here in Austin, like Google and whatnot. But we all get to be on this great shoot. Then we all go home, and we're not going to get to see that paycheck for another 30. Sometimes I had a net 120 payout.
Oh my gosh.
My first national commercial, which is playing right now. You'd see it on Sundays during the NFL games.
Oh, wow.
Keep a lookout for me on Aspercream.
Aspercream.
Do you know what Aspercream is?
I don't know what Aspercream is.
It's scentless icy hot.
Whoa.
So it's like, for muscle
fatigue.
Work? Yeah. They're a sponsor of the NFL. So
awesome.
Yeah, it definitely works. I have 5 seconds in the commercial. It's great. So to that example, right? So I was booked through my agent. So just the entire journey of getting an agent, getting to that job took years. To get to that pay took a long time. And then the frustrating part is I'm not going to get to see that paycheck. I didn't see that for 120 days.
That's wild.
Yeah. So in what am I doing in the meantime? Well, I'm
finding other gigs.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Around. I'm on this. I'm on that. I'm on Craigslist even, searching. All of the production that I've ever been a part of. Every production company has their own process, their own forms, and a lot falls through the cracks, right? So that's happening. Albert's experience comes from building sales teams and training with several successful startups here in Austin that have all sold. And so my initial thought to him was, hey, all these production companies and all these friends that I have that are struggling to have consistent work.
Yeah.
They don't know how to sell. They need a CRM. You should build a production CRM or a SaaS or something. And so we initially thought that was it. But then Albert was also he had a job where they were selling basically tools for marketing for small businesses online, but the actual product was pretty like it wasn't much. And all of the customers were just they weren't interested in the management of their assets. They were interested in, when's the next photo shoot? Do I get to keep the photos? Are these my photos? Are they your photos? How often do I get a delivery? And so this kind of idea that production companies and talented people struggle with customer service and finding and keeping clients on a reoccurring basis, and then clients who are struggling keeping up with the demand of digital marketing, like content and stuff, they need a better way to communicate.
Got you.
And so
Hence Blended
Sense was born. And what it looked like is we were making a lot of our first assets were like music videos and audio services for a lot of musicians and brands, like more like bloggers. And then that started to pivot because my dad is a small business owner in Massachusetts, and we went up there to go hang out with him, and he's been trying to take his business from word of mouth referral to more online based since his clientele is becoming younger, the millennials and older. Those are the ones who are buying homes now. And everyone's online. So he's, talking to us about how frustrating it is to even think about where he would begin calling an agency and trying to get a photographer into his house. And so just starting to really identify with everything I saw him struggling with growing up and being like, okay, I think our consumer is the one who gets really intimidated by current options for creative services, who doesn't have the time to even begin thinking about that stuff, and who doesn't have the resources. So current options are really expensive. Small business owners wear so many hats, let alone have a marketing budget. So can we make something that meets them where they're at? Because there's like just a massive amount of small businesses in the U.S. economy. That's really what keeps our economy running. And freelancers make up 40% of that workforce. So we're bringing them together.
I love it. I love it. A few other ones for
you,
if you don't
going.
mind.
I love talking.
Yes. No, I love hearing your answers. So Austin recently ranked as one of the top cities for female entrepreneurs.
Very cool.
Curious from your perspective, how has it been starting your business in Austin? And what are some of the resources in the city that have been most helpful for you that other female entrepreneurs should take advantage of?
Well, first and foremost, I am championed by my husband, who's also my co-founder. And without a doubt, that is where it starts for us, that he is a feminist to the T. So it even starts there, which then trickled into the people that we chose to be on our board, who were all champions of women stepping into roles of leadership. And so right away, I found myself surrounded with support immediately and have never had to question whether or not I belonged. In fact, was told to be way more vocal, be the one on the mic, be the one pitching. Initially, it was like Albert pitching and things like that. And we quickly switched to that because, women are the ones who people want to hand the microphone to right now. And I thought that was pretty powerful that my team was humble enough to say, here's the mic.
Step up into that position.
So it started right then and there. And then pretty quickly as our business started to develop and get a little bit more into the space and people started to recognize who we were, I was approached by some women organizing a female founders roundtable lunch, and it had just started, right? And then this was right around the time when like the Riveter was coming to town. So this is all pretty recent, like the springtime, that these initiatives just started rolling. So right away, here I am, a first-time founder, being totally championed by my people, and then being plugged into these like lunches where I'm sitting with women who are just years beyond me qualified, and like, their experience is just incredible. So like right away I was plugged in.
Oh, I love it.
Which I don't think happens anywhere else, because as an actor I've experienced the same thing. I did not get this in New York. In New York, people are like, I'm not even going to tell you where I buy my bagels. Like, you can't have that edge over me. Like, that's my bodega, you know? Whereas here, people are like, oh my God, I will personally drive you to my favorite spot and I'll give you this shirt off my back. Like,
everyone here is so kind and helpful.
Yeah, the generosity is crazy.
It's almost scary how kind everyone is. I don't know, because I was coming from New York, and as soon as I got off the plane, I was like, what do you want from me? Like, why are you being so nice?
Yeah.
But everyone here is so genuine and kind about making introductions and making sure that you get plugged into the community immediately. So I'm glad you've experienced that as well.
Oh my God, right away. Like, I think it's because purpose comes from community.
Mm-hmm.
Community comes from connection, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there, sharing your resources. And yeah, absolutely. That has been happening like pretty much immediately.
That makes me happy to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel this is a great city for it. And if you're feeling like you're in another city where you're not having a voice,
come to Austin.
Yeah. I think the stage is like, people are open. At this point, people are like, yeah, we don't want to see the same thing getting up every single time. So,
yeah. No, for sure.
Come on down.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, what do you do to catch a break, take a moment to decompress?
Those are so far and few between right now. I'm actually am an extremely independent person. And I'm an extreme... I just learned a really great word. I used to be like, I'm an introverted extrovert, but I just learned another word. I think it was called like omnivert.
Omnivert.
Something weird.
One like an introvert that fakes to be an extrovert.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I need extreme amounts of alone time to recharge. So my most favorite kind of things to do, I love cooking at the end of the day.
Teach me.
I love cooking. You can come to my house.
Yes,
we'll make
if
food.
you'd be down to teach me.
So like cooking and eating are like by far my favorite things to do.
Just to decompress.
Cooking and eating. Yep. Decompress. And then I love being outside.
Okay.
I love hanging out with my dog.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
She's a Chiweenie. I'll show you.
Oh, I have not seen her yet.
Oh my God. Lolita Felipe La Grande.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
we just call her Lola though. She's 8 pounds.
Can't imagine saying that full name every time you call her.
Lola. We call her Loli. What? Let me just pull up this photo of her. She's a baby
How old is
angel.
she?
She's 2.
Oh.
Here, let's see.
She's the trial child, huh?
She's very much our child. Yeah, I would like carry her in my purse everywhere I go.
Oh, so sweet. I always foster dogs, and I just got this new little sling that you can put your little puppies in. And so they come around with you like little baby. Oh my gosh.
Look at her smile.
She's so cute.
Yeah, this is like the funniest thing ever. Anything else you want to add before?
I think that's all.
Okay, so the way we've been finishing these things is typically something stands out and I make it a statement sip and I say it to the mic and I take a little sip and I give a nod to the camera. Did you come with a quote or anything?
I did actually.
You did.
I came prepared.
Do you want to say the quote and then take a sip of your tea?
All right.
And then look at the camera.
Will.
Okay.
So one of my favorite quotes, it's actually by Ryan Hoover from Product Hunt. He says, when you look back 6 months from today and don't feel embarrassed by your naivete, there's a problem. And it's one of my favorite things because I think I have a tendency to keep myself very comfortable. And it always reminds me to, put yourself out there. The only way to grow is to be very uncomfortable and do things that scare you. So never done a podcast, so this is one of the things I'm adding to the list.
Cheers. Well, thank you so much, Jill, for joining us.
Thank you
and
for
that
having
is today's episode number 4 of Tea with Abbie. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much for watching Tea with Abbie. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned. Smack that like button. See that like button? Smack it. Thanks so much for watching an episode of Tea with Abbie. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned with new episodes all year long. And if you want to learn more about Blended Scents, visit us at our website, www.blendedsense.com, or follow us on social at Blended Scents or at BlendedScents.io. See you next week.